What's up, everybody? So it's Ethan and Lucas as always, and today we're back for the first live stream officially as MA Network. I mean, the last one we started as Grand MA2 Tutorials and ended as MA Network. Today, just to give you an idea of what we're going to be doing, there's something I want to go over. Then we're going to do our normal question taking and stuff. Hopefully, we won't be looking into the underwear department of MA Lighting again with a game. But we'll see how it goes. So without further ado, Lucas, do you have anything to say?
No, just let's get started.
Cool. So this is the thing I've been holding off on for a little while. So I should probably let you see my screens. So if you that's a problem. Oh, there we go. Cool. So if you've been watching for a while, you would have seen a while back my show file walkthrough. And if you watch Christian Jackson's stuff, you'd know he's got the effect size thingies, which I think a lot of people have now. And one of the first things I had was the first tutorial on my channel was how to make these. But recently, what I've been finding is that during the build up of a song before the drop, I want to get all my effects ready to go. But then, obviously, when you're in like a really heavy build up and you're doing lots of strobing and lots of flashing and stuff, you don't actually have time to pull down 3 faders and push up 3 faders. As stupid as it sounds, I'm sure Lucas can attest to that. It can be a bit of a nuisance to get to the 3 faders. So what I created was the ability to, with the click of an X key instead, pull down the faders. So if I actually just bring it to both monitors, you'll see if I go to here on that one and here on this one, I can select which ones I want to actually hide and then bring them down and up as needed, and then I can also add fades in that so that they can be smoother than I could ever do humanly. And while it seems like a stupid thing that wouldn't really come in helpful, if you do a lot of EDM kind of stuff where you want to bring them down, but it can. But also what I found is that it allows you to put them on a fader page, God knows where, 9,969 actually, and use whatever you need. Your voice. Okay, so yeah, so that is what I wanted to do, and then and then straight after this live stream, there will be a thing. Okay, there'll be a tutorial on my channel for that that'll go live just after my live stream. Lucas, I got a report of a possibly audio issue. If you can just check on that quickly.
I have already checked on that. I just noticed it as well. So it seems like you are sending me 2 audio signals of your voice at once with a slight delay between them, which sounds like a robot voice.
Check if it's fixed now.
Are you actually doing that?
I was actually, because I've got 2 audio settings. Let me just disable one.
I'm checking it.
Because I had one set up for the
yeah,
Yeti.
it's fixed. It's fixed.
I had one set up for the Yeti and one set up for the thing.
And they have slightly different delays, so it sounds like just that robo like flanger effect thingy.
Okay, cool. It should be fixed now.
Yeah, it's fixed.
Okay.
Perfect.
Okay, so I hope everyone got what I was trying to say there through my
we could
voice.
really well understand you, but it was robot voice.
Okay, whoa, what? I'm trying to delete stuff. Delete that and that. All right, how to connect Universe 256. So so obviously with the MA, the nice thing about it is that you can configure any output to be any universe you want. So to do that, you go to Setup, MA Network Configuration, and you'd see it. So I'm just gonna go on PC, and it's assuming I've got a command wing, a fader wing, and 2 fader wings connected. So it's the same process. You'll literally just go to whichever XLR out you want. If you had an NPU, for example, you would have all the XLR options. If you had a console, you'd have all the XLR options, etc., etc. So you would go to the one you want, and then you can select out, and then in Universe you could type 256 please, and it would be outputting Universe 256. So now obviously you just have to actually have your fixtures like patched to that. But yeah, and then it'll come up in your thing. So you can actually have, if you wanted for some reason, on like a command wing, you could have the one XLR output being only being Universe like 1 and the other one being 256. I hope that answers your question. I'm gonna hope it did. Okay, I'm trying to think if there's anything else. So yeah, so actually I'm just gonna go back to the effect size things that I was talking about. And what I was saying about how you can put them on other pages is the macros are actually, and the way it works is it's actually just activating and deactivating a variable, if that makes sense. So if I go to show you how it works quickly, you can see that these making it active are just going to executors. So if I quickly bring up both monitors, that one. Well, why is this monitor gone away now? Whoa,
Oh
that's
no.
weird.
OBS
No.
crashed. That's okay. Start stream. Okay, you can disable the clock.
Okay. Are we back now?
Yes, we are back. Okay,
Okay,
that was unfortunate.
yeah,
my
sorry about
OBS just crashed out of nowhere. I don't know why. It just happened. Because stuff happens. I don't know. First
Okay,
time that happens live in the stream. But yeah,
I think
there we
let's
are,
hop
back again.
into what's his face's Tobe by 45H's question. How to put strobe speed, Atomic 3000 on a fader. Let me bring up a show that actually has atomics. I haven't done one of those. See if this one has atomics. I think it has atomics in it. It's fairly simple. You would just put it on a temp fader. So I'll show you how to do that quickly. So let's bring this in so I can grab so let's see if I've got my atomics here. Yep, so I've got some atomics over there. So I can just bring it up onto both monitors. So you'll grab your atomics, go to beam, shutter, and it's under not strobe mode. Yep, under so it's strobe mode, normal, yeah, and then max duration. Strobe. So then you'll literally just store your maximum strobe value onto a fader, just like that. Press assign on the fader, set it to temp, and then what temp does is it'll go from 0, and you can see, and then eventually it'll start strobing slowly, and then it'll come up and up and up to you've got your full strobe to go on. And your temp fader can be used for any values, and basically the only difference, sorry for my coughing, the only difference between a normal fader and a temp fader is that a temp fader will increase the values that you stored relative to the current value and relative to the fader level. So if it's at 50%, it'll be at 50% of whatever you stored, if that makes any sense whatsoever. That one. Do not save. Okay, so yeah, that should answer your question. Has anyone else got any questions on anything? Am I related, obviously? I don't think there's anything actually. Lucas, have you got anything that
I would say. Yeah, I would say we can just talk a bit about MA Network again, because
so we need to do that.
We really want to gather some more ideas for maybe future MA bits or like tips and tricks videos. What do you guys want to have in like a comprehensive video of about 5 to 10 minutes maximum, like just short MA related, like how do I do that, or like not the normal tutorial format that we are continuing to do soon, but just so little ideas for little tutorials. That's what we are looking for.
Yeah, I think the other thing we need to talk about is that the forum is definitely still very active, and we'd like you all to be on that, because that's obviously the quickest way for us to be able to respond to you. So in the chat at the moment is a link, and I mean, if you'd like to, please take a look and go and join that if you aren't already joined. Joined or joined? Is it joined or joined? I think it's joined.
Yes, we really like to welcome you on the forum.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. Is there anything we should go over in terms of new stuff? Let me see if I've got any new things that I can show off. Obviously, the only issue with these live streams is we like to do everything. We don't really plan much, I guess. Just we need to get better at that. So yes, if you have any questions, please put them into the chat, and we will get through to answering them as like best as we can, I guess, if that makes any sense.
What was that?
I've got some stuff that I guess I could show. I'm trying to decide. I mean, it's not that actually impressive. It's just Maybe I should. Maybe I should. Okay, yeah, why not? I'm gonna talk about generating presets via macros, but more. I don't think I've ever done that, have I? More in depth, so that you guys are able to. So quick. We're gonna do a quick tutorial on how to generate your presets for through macros. 'Cause that's fun. So if you've got like a fixture type you found that you're commonly coming across, there's then a good idea instead of generating presets for it every time you've got a show is to create what's it called, to create macros that do that for you. And that's what I've done with my show file. Is I'm still building it, but I've got a couple here, like for the pointy, the sharpie, the mythos, and the 5R and BMFLs and vipers and crap. So let's just have a quick talk through those again. So as you can see, really, it's the same thing that I did in a previous video, I'm sure, where it's just taking an attribute and storing it to a preset. But the issue is you have to go through your. So the best way to do it is to import the fixture profile and import a fixture, obviously, and find the values and then create your macros from that. So the way it's done is it's calling the preset names. So to find that, in case you're unable to, is you can go to your command line with a command line view and you type in, let's see if I can get this right, list attribute. Now, the one thing with list attribute that you must remember is it's better to use the actual library name, because firstly the screen name generally won't work. But if you choose to use the number, it might work. But if you move between show files and you import another fixture type, sometimes like if one has a fourth gobo wheel, for example, not that I don't think any fixtures have 4 gobo wheels, but if it did, it would put the gobo 3 thing or gobo 3 attribute before color. So if you had set up all your stuff where your color 1 was attribute 20 and you had stored it like that, you're then going to come into an issue where attribute 20 will now be an attribute that isn't one that you had actually been trying to store or trying to use, if that makes sense. So you must definitely use the library name, and then obviously once that is done, all you're doing is just calling the group, saying attribute, whichever attribute it is, in the inverted quotation marks, just in the quotation marks, at whatever, and you're storing it to wherever you need. And then you can have, however many of these you want. If you're willing to send program for every fixture type you ever come across, it can speed up your programming heavily. And the one other thing that I would recommend is for color mixing lights, create just one macro that calls the group, and you can actually, if you're just storing MA gels or the default, when you go to like the color picker, and if you go to the color picker here, if you're just storing to those, you can, and this is what I learned from Lucas, is you can just say at gel one dot whatever, where the one is referring to where the one or X is referring to your thing down here, and the secondary number after the period is referring to the actual gel. So you could have it storing to anything. So yes, that's what. And then instead of having to create this for every single fixture type you create, you can actually call this macro in those ones, saving you a bit of programming time. So yeah, that's about it for preset generation, which I think is pretty cool.
It is indeed. Saves a lot of time.
Yeah, some people
for like things that you do every time, like doing the color stuff and
I think that's
what
actually
you talked about.
Yeah, because that was an interesting thing in the one of the Facebook groups the other day. Is some guys were talking about macros, and a lot of LDs have this perception of all these new younger LDs or whatever are writing all these hundreds of thousands of macros, and are forgetting to just run a show and are relying on all these macros. But the important thing to understand is, yes, your macros can't really make your shows better, but they can make it faster to program, because anybody, if I look in my show file, anybody could go program the same thing as what I've got by just starting with a blank show file on the day and doing it. But it's going to take them 12 to 16 hours versus the half an hour it can take me to get a patch and be ready to go. And that's something, if you're like thinking that macros aren't really worth it or whatever, the thing is to think about is how can they save you time. Now, I'm not condoning writing stupid macros to do things like the one guy was asking you to write one macro that writes a whole lot of other macros, and that isn't always like a great idea. But if you're writing a macro that's generating presets for you or is storing stuff for that kind of thing, it's a really good idea because it will speed up your workflow, and I think that's an important thing to think about.
Of course. And I mean, working with MA, you're going to develop your own way of working with it, and you'll soon realize that there are some things that you keep doing all the time, over and over again. And those are the things that you really can think about writing macros for, because it saves time.
That and, color pickers. If it's 2018, if you don't have a color picker in your show file at this point,
how do you connect a DMX controller to the console and use it as playback?
Can I answer this one? 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 Please.
I could answer it as well, but for you,
I really want to.
You can do it.
Okay, cool. Because I love DMX. I love DMX inputs. Okay, so the first thing you'll need to do is obviously, I'm assuming when you're talking about this, you're talking about something like this. This is something I worked on. I still work on. I think it's a CMX 24. Cool. I'm assuming you're talking about something like this, where it's each fader pushes up a DMX channel, whatever. Not really like an MA where you're programming stuff for the faders. So I'm going to work on you talking about this. So the first thing you'll need to do is obviously plug it into the console. Now, the command wings and the actual consoles have a dedicated XLR connection for inputs, and I think that's a 5-pin. So if yours is only a 3-pin, you obviously need a turnaround. But
it is a 5-pin.
Yeah, it is a 5-pin, and if your console
everything is 5-pin in MA word,
except for the LTC, obviously, because that's audio.
Yeah, of course, because it's audio.
So first you'll need to plug your other console into there. But if you can't get it into, if you're using like a fader wing, because I know the fader wings don't have DMX inputs, you can use the outputs as an input. You'll just obviously need to get a turnaround, so a female to male turnaround, so you can plug it in. Once you've plugged it in, you'll go into MA network configuration, and again, assuming you're using on PC, you'll see that one of the XLRs is labeled as in. Now you want to select that, and you want to say whatever universe you want it to come into. Now it doesn't matter what universe it's outputting on your actual console, your other console. This is just the universe that MA will direct the incoming DMX data to. So if we can leave it as 1, but I think you could go up to 256 if you wanted to. And then obviously on a console, it will just be over at the end. You'll see there's one of them that is set to XLR in, and you can switch that to in or out and on. And if you can't use one of those using like a fader wing, you'll see you can change the port mode to in and set your universe as needed. But then once that is done, you'll need to then go to remote input setup and DMX remote. And this is where you're going to configure everything you need. So you'll add a new line. You'll say the DMX, what DMX address it is. So obviously if it's the universe you've set it to in the input, then you'll say what you want it to do. So you can tell it to change your page to, you can tell it to work as an exec, just changing the exec stuff, and the page, the executor, and what it does in terms of the button, the fader, all the other buttons. And I'm fairly certain we did a full video breaking that down. Did we not, Lucas? I feel like
I'm not sure.
Let me take a look quickly.
Haven't yet done one.
Are you sure? Because I remember. I remember.
We have. Yeah. You're absolutely right.
The video for you, so you can take a look at that. So I've given you like a quick breakdown, but we did create a video a couple months ago that has a full break. Last year, that has a full breakdown on how to do it.
About remote input setup and all that stuff. Yeah.
So that's the basics of it, and then obviously there's a lot more you could do. But the one important thing to remember,
it was called remotes. The video, it's called remotes, and it covers all of the different remotes and how do you configure it and what you can do with it and all that stupid stuff.
Yeah. But I think the one important thing to remember, and I'm fairly certain I'm right on this, Lucas, correct me if I'm wrong, but you must, if you are using like Universe 50 to bring in your stuff, do not under any circumstances patch any fixtures to that universe, because
Yeah.
if you have like a fixture on channel 50, universe 50 channel 1, and you've got DMX incoming, the MA is going to merge that with whatever data you've got in terms of that fixture. So that can cause
There's no
random
separation.
issues.
There's no separation between incoming universes and outgoing universes. You have your universes, and you're patching your fixtures onto universes, as well as doing DMX input on the same patch of universes. So if you use universe 10, for example, for remote control stuff, and there's a actual moving head with pan and tilt values stored on the channels that you're using for your 2 faders on your control unit, you are actually pulling up and down the pan and tilt of those fixtures.
Yeah, so you're going to mess up your show. So I'm assuming most people patch the correct way in terms of going universe 1, starting at universe 1 and going upwards instead of random universes.
Yeah.
So then I'd recommend just honestly, if you're not, I doubt you're using more than a full universe, so just slap it on universe 256, and then you don't have to worry about it ever interfering with anything. And obviously with the MA, you don't have to, you can use whichever random universes you like, so you don't have to worry about any issues arising because of that. So yes, I hope that answers your questions. If you've your question, if you've got any more, please put them in the chat and we will answer them. Yeah, but
exactly.
I mean, I actually for at home. I'm too cheap to buy Bohm's MIDI translator, so I use a free piece of software called KLC Plus, and then I sent ArtNet from that into MA, and then I converted all into that to use a MIDI controller with MA at home without paying. There's a video about that on my channel if you're interested in using a MIDI controller for free with MA, technically. But yeah.
And you have to keep in mind that there's a difference between the DMX remotes and the MIDI remotes.
Yeah.
At least in a way that executor control works. Like using a MIDI remote will have the fader always snap. So if you move the MIDI controller fader, your executor fader will snap to whatever value the MIDI device currently has sent. If you're using DMX as an input for like an executor fader, you first have to get to the value the fader in the software currently has before it snaps and you can actually control the value. And that really helps if you want to do stuff like controlling multiple pages with one controller, where you are switching pages and you don't want the executors to magically snap and destroy your whole show with an accident. Like, keep that in mind. So for multi-page control with like one fader, always try to use the DMX input. And if you can't use the DMX input because it's a MIDI device and you have no DMX, there are solutions like, of course, the Bohms that can do quite some stuff. But you can also use the MIDI to ArtNet translator, which costs, I don't know, $40 or something. It's not that expensive. Yeah, it enables you to do that.
Or if you completely,
or you could use the free version. If you just the free version, I think it does 20 controls. It enables you to use 20 faders if you want, and then it cuts off. So maybe that's enough for you, so you don't really have to pay at all.
Mine's unlimited, so it's essentially free real estate, if you know what I'm talking about. If you actually can't afford anything, my version is it's free real estate. Okay, that was a really shitty meme. I apologize to anyone that had to ensure that. Yeah, so there's many options for getting data into MA if you're into that. So I mean, there's even analog, which I don't even know what analog is, to be honest.
Like foot pedals or something.
Oh, that would be so. I'm gonna buy a foot pedal.
That would be awesome for BPM.
Could you imagine
tapping.
like having a strobe, like
strobe button? Yeah, of course, that would be awesome.
All these guys that are using these XQs, like come on, I use a foot like a pedal. But actually, yeah, for BPM tapping, because it's like a hand that's, you don't need to, you're not suddenly now you have one hand on the console that's just tapping in a BPM.
You could just tap with your feet and go on with the
Then-
show with your hands. That's
don't
the
know.
idea behind analog inputs. And there are a lot of MIDI controllers out there, like for example the BCF 2000 from Behringer, that actually has analog input as well. So it converts analog into MIDI, which you can then use to send into the MA on PC or
that's very
whatever
cool.
you want. So there are also ways for using that functionality without the actual console on PC.
Yeah. So so any more questions for us to answer? There's not much more we can really talk about.
Or alternatively, if there are no questions right now, are there any topics that you want to know
just
more
anything.
about? Are there any, like, I don't know, I saw one...
This is actually what was that thing? I don't know if you commented on it, but something... Can you send a link for MIDI translator? Sure, we can. But there's an interesting topic that I didn't even know about, is that in MA, you can occasionally go over your allowed fixture, or not allowed parameters, because virtual channels don't count against your parameters. So, for example, if you go to a fixture like the color force, you'll notice that it has virtual channels. And you would think, and when you actually patch it in, over here it'll set counts against your parameters. So if I created a fixture that just had 5 virtual parameters, I would then be on 9,990 parameters used. But I wouldn't actually be using 9,990 parameters. I'd only be using 9,985, because the MA shows you what it sees as the parameters, not what's actually counting against your license. And I thought it was actually pretty interesting.
Parameters is only a physical output that you send to the fixture, with the exception of 16-bit channels.
Yeah.
Which are not counted.
Yeah, because those are counted, even though it's 2 channels, because generally the rule of thumb is 1 channel is 1 parameter. But in terms of that, it is
one feature. I would call it one feature. One parameter is like a pen or a tilt feature or a color scroller feature. And then it can be 8-bit, 16-bit, 32-bit, whatever you want.
Yeah.
And it will only count as one parameter.
The issue is regarding the virtual one, is since it's actually, because like if you have a 16-bit pan and tilt, it doesn't show that as 4 parameters. It shows that it's using 2 parameters than what's using. But in terms of using this, if you imagine if you got like 100 color force 72s, which in their biggest mode can use quite a few virtual channels, you're then using, say you've got 100 and each one uses 4 virtual dimmer channels, you're therefore using 400 parameters theoretically, and it would be showing as 400 parameters if I'm not doing my maths wrong. But it's not actually counting, and the MA gives you no way of seeing what you're actually using.
It gives you a way.
Does it?
It gives you a way. There's the system.
Yeah, if you got
let me see how that thing is called. System performance. No.
Status.
There's a window.
Status.
Desk status. Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's the parameter count. 0 parameters, usable capacity of parameters, blah blah blah, and fixture count.
But that is still,
and that should not count the virtual
hold on.
Channels.
Let's
test this.
Let's just create a new show. New show.
I already have one new show.
Yeah. I want to check.
Generic.
So setup, patch and fixture,
LED.
color force. Okay. So if I load up, because I know that the color force, let's load a color force 12 mode 3.
Okay, so this has
it has 6. Yeah. What are you?
One virtual.
Oh. Okay.
I just loaded an LED par with one virtual channel. Yeah, one virtual dimmer channel. So
okay, yeah, hold on.
It should be 4 parameters, and he says 5. Okay, so he counts the virtual channels into the parameter count, but still has another count that's
And in
like,
desk status, it shows it exactly the same. So that MA doesn't give
yeah,
you a way to check your
that's
actual is being
crazy.
used.
I thought
Um,
that this used parameter count with the virtual channels is only showing up in the edit setup page,
nope,
but it's
everywhere.
also showing up in the status as 5 parameters, not 4. But you are
Yeah.
actually only
Okay.
using 4. So that's
Cool
crazy.
question. Yeah. Questions. How do you import MA stages? Before I can actually answer that, I've got to ask: do you mean you've got one show file and you want to just bring the stage into another one, or do you mean you've downloaded it from the MA stages website and you want
I
to know
think
how to
he
open
means
it? I think
that.
it's that. Okay, so I'll
Yeah.
do that quickly. Let me download one. So I'm
Let
gonna.
me do
Do
that.
okay, you can do it. It's fine.
I want to explain some things
Okay,
as
go
well.
ahead.
So
Well, just
yeah,
while you're doing that, I just
let
want to ask GeoTarget.
okay.
By is it possible to save an effect speed in a playback? Do you mean that you have one effect, and with different playbacks, the speed of that effect changes, or do you mean something else? Because that's how I'm interpreting it. With that, I'll let Lucas take over.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm just right now downloading the zip file from the MA Stages website. Going to extract this thing. And now you see there's a show.gz file in there, and that's actually a show file. So you just copy that one into your folder, program data, MA Lighting Technologies, Grand MA, the newest software version, and the shows folder in there. If you can find it, there it is. You paste it in there. Oh, I already downloaded this stage sometime, so he asks me to overwrite. Okay, I'll overwrite it. And going into MA, I'm now able to go into backup and load show, and there's my show that I just downloaded. I can check that I want to load everything and save my old show file, and boom, there we are. Show is loaded. Now MA3D and setup. Okay, so MA3D is on the right IP address. MA network configuration 3D. Delete the creator's IP address out of this and add ourselves into into this. It's connecting, and boom, there we are. We got the stage downloaded and added to our on PC and loaded and connected to the 3D so we can work with that. So that's the way how you download the MA stages, and yeah, now you can try figuring out what you want to program with that stage. Okay, off to you.
Okay, cool. So is it possible to save an effect speed in a playback? And to the best of my knowledge, no. Now, there's a couple. I'm gonna go over a couple ways you could accomplish this. Let me just okay. I'm gonna go over a couple ways that I would accomplish this at least. So the first would be to straight up just assign the effect to playback. So yeah, I've got my beam circle effect here. Okay. Oh, let me just create a actual freaking selective effect quickly. Add pan and tilt. Yep. Okay. So the first one would be to obviously just store it and then, or not to store it, to assign it. Sorry. And then that would keep it as, and then you could set your speed fader to the actual fader. You could change it to speed, and you could change it. But the other way that I would do it at least would be to create within the command a thing that's changing the speed. So for example, let's store this to a couple of faders. So firstly, we'll store it to this fader, then just a separate sequence of storage to this fader. So say in the first fader I want it to be 30 BPM. Do you have a different way to do this, or is my way?
And now I'm currently thinking
Yeah.
of another way to do this, but
Okay, so I'll show
I'm
how to
not
do
coming up
mine
with
in the
something.
means. Yeah.
I just laughed about, giggled about the question that was written right now. Do your views go when you put a YouTube video on private? No,
What?
the views that your
No, the views
video
stay, yeah.
makes, they stay on the video.
Yeah,
You can't buy
okay.
anything from that views. You can't buy anything at all from what we are doing. But
Yeah.
your views always stay there. They are not deleted.
Okay, back to the
Yeah.
topic. So what I would do is I'd go into the actual into the command of the thing, and I'd say I just need to see what the of the executor. I just need to see what the number was. 58. So and you would say assign effect, and then you have to say one, I believe, one dot, and then whichever one is. So in my case, 58 / speed equals 30. I haven't done this in a while, so I think that's the command. And then when you execute it, not only will it execute the effect, but it also changes the speed. And if I wanted to, I could then just copy this, and in the next one, I want it to be 200, for example. And then when I pull this fader up, it will set it to 200. So that is how I would do it, at least. With the new with the 3, I think it's done differently, and you can actually accomplish that in a way you were thinking of, where you are, say, storing the speed data into the sequence itself.
You could also go ahead and do only one executor for the actual effect and store an executor button underneath with just the
Yeah.
commands to change the speeds
Yeah.
that you can
Could be
click
a way as
through
well.
to change speeds.
Or you could
but
even have
that's up
it,
to you.
or you could even have it on one fader, and your go button will just obviously go through the queues. And then if you leave tracking on, all you've got to do is store it on Q1, and then in each of the other queues, you'll just be changing the speed. So since it's tracking, you won't lose anything,
Yeah,
and then you can just
that's
do it that
another
way.
way. Yeah. So there are
So
multiple ways as always.
I hope that makes sense to you. Honestly, the best way though is just have a speed fader assigned to it. That's easiest.
Speed
'Cause you can
faders
also-
are dope. And then you have your macro for like tapping all the speed
Yeah.
faders the same way, and then you do your double speed and half speed thing and have fun. That's it.
How
Yeah.
do
So there's a
configure-
German question.
Yeah, so do you want to handle that in German?
Yeah, I'm going to handle that. Wie konfiguriere ich denn Artnet? Muss ich da noch was Besonderes beachten? Artnet als Input oder als Output? Als Output musst du natürlich wissen, dass du auch die Parameter freigeschaltet haben musst. Also dir bringt es nichts, wenn du Artnet richtig konfiguriert hast, aber du hast kein Node oder irgendwas dergleichen im Netzwerk hängen, was dir die Parameter freischaltet, dann kannst du natürlich nichts ausgeben. Ansonsten, Artnet konfigurieren funktioniert relativ einfach. Viel beachten musst du dafür nicht. Im Setup kannst du unter Network Protocols, Artnet, hier Inputs und Outputs aktivieren und hinzufügen, konfigurieren, entweder als automatischer Output, Unicast oder Broadcast oder eben Input. Entsprechend hier festlegen, wo das Lokal, auf welchem Universum das Lokal starten soll, wie viele Universen du da übers Artnet schicken oder übers Artnet empfangen möchtest und dann noch entsprechend welches Netzwerk, welches Subnetz, welches Universum. Kannst hier theoretisch sogar noch ein Delay einstellen, also wenn du jetzt meinetwegen weißt, du hast mehrere Artnet-Geräte und du weißt, dass ein Artnet-Gerät ein Delay von, was weiß ich, 20 Millisekunden hat, ein anderes aber nur ein Delay von 10 Millisekunden, dann kannst du hier hergehen und alle Geräte, die nur 10 Millisekunden Delay haben, um weitere 10 Millisekunden verzögern, sodass dann alle Geräte gleichzeitig ihr Signal ausgeben, sodass du garantiert hast, dass das, was du on Stage tust, halt wirklich synchron ist. Ja, da kannst du auch noch Info reinschreiben, aber ansonsten ist es das. Also hier kannst du das an- und ausschalten, kannst festlegen, was du willst und den Rest habe ich gerade erklärt. Das ist eigentlich die ganze Kunst hinter Artnet. Ansonsten, falls du noch Fragen hast, gerne. Ja, that's basically it. Short version of this question in English. He asked how Artnet works and how to configure it. It's basically that easy that you just go on a setup network protocols, and you can add your inputs and outputs in there, change it to unicast and broadcast or to an input, and set up the local starting universe, the amount, network subnet universe, delay if you have delay differences between Artnet devices in the network, and yeah, that's basically it. That easy. Okay.
Yeah. So, okay, cool. There we go. Okay, cool. Danke. Hey, danke is a word. All right. So shall we? If anyone else has any questions that they would like us to go over, just put those down in the comments. Yeah, there's comments. I don't think if I've got anything
Otherwise,
cool.
we really want you to go to that wonderful webpage, ma-network.de, and register on our forum. We got like a lot of members till now, but we really want to have that community grow, because it's great to see how questions are handled easily by the community, answering and helping others, and that's huge. We really like to see you guys helping each other on there.
Yeah. So I don't know if I want to go over how do you do copying of like toggle images, because Christian Jackson has a video up on that, so I'm not going to steal that out of him. I'm trying to think if I've done anything cool that I can show off now that doesn't break whenever I try to use it, because there are still some of those things that are breaking.
We
That's
had
Jason's.
one person asking in the forum how that whole image copying he made he actually got the image copying thing to work. So he had his layout view with the macros on there, changing the images, and
Yeah.
so he created the actual toggle buttons.
Well, in terms of like.
But he then asked, how do I now store the actual colors on there?
Okay. Well,
and we told him,
yeah,
you're just controlling sequences with
yeah.
the thing basically. And I don't know if he really got it or now knows how it works, but it seems funny that people are able to do that advanced stuff, programming the macros, but then they don't actually know how the thing that they want to simplify with this thing actually work.
All right.
So
if you want to switch to my screen, I'll do a quick overview on that, because it is actually kind of a fun thing
I will
to do.
So you can go.
So in my show file, you can see I used to have a set of action buttons here, but I found layout views for color stuff, because this is just my color screen, to be more intuitive and easier to use. So for a lot of the stuff here, I've actually got toggles. So when I click it once, it goes on and it goes off. So the important thing to remember is that all that is the copying of images. So if I go into my image pool, it's the same with the color picker. If I go into my image pool and I find those images, so those ones, yeah, you can see I've got the active ones and the inactive ones. And then when I click on those macros, all they're doing is saying go to an executor. So now if I go to that executor page, which is 127, and I've come to the ones that those are working on, I just want to switch it on so that I know which one it is. I need to find it first. Yeah. Wait, which page is it on? Oh, it's 115, not 127. Sorry. So if I go to that page, and I can show how it's actually working there. So you can see here where it's active and stuff. All of my data is theoretically stored in the queue. So a better one to show this to would be my color duo things, where it takes the group and it splits it in half, obviously, in groups of two, and then it will take the colors based on that, which is there. So if I go to those ones over here, all of my actual data is stored in the sequence. So all of the color data, all of that stuff is not stored, is not happening with those images. It's literally just as a normal executor, basically. And then the second queue is just an empty queue to use the command. So you can see in the command line, it's actually just copying the images. That's all it's doing. So what the best way to understand it is that those macros, all those are doing are triggering the executors, the sequences, and then copying the images at the same time. So that's how it works. But if you're doing something where it's just macro based, just command line based, and you aren't actually calling anything, but each trigger does something. So if it's on, it sends a command to something. If it's off, it comes off for some reason. If you want to do something like that, there is actually the perfect example of that is my beam height effect thing, because when it's on, there's a variable that becomes, if I go to the command line quickly, you'll see it makes a variable active. So it says set var $beam height equals exec1.11. But when it's inactive, it just makes that variable equal nothing. Now, if you don't want to actually do it using an executive, you don't want to waste the executive to create the 2 queues that will then execute the commands, you can actually do it all via macros, and I figured this out the other day. And what you would do is you would go to, let me just go to a macro pool quickly. You would first, so you'd put your command into, here, so I can actually just do this one quickly. So in your first line, let's say I want to do it exactly the same. So the first line, you will take that command and put it in. And then the second line, you will take the second command and put it in. Now I'm 90% certain this will work, 90% certain it won't work. And then what you'll do is you'll set the second line to go. So then when you trigger it, it'll, or you set both lines to go. But let me check. Yeah, you set both lines to go. When you trigger it, it'll hold on line 1. And then when you trigger it again, it'll execute the second line and go off. So if I actually just quickly assign that to the layout view, what macros are that? There we go. Then it should theoretically work. Yeah, so you can see there it'll do the first one, and then when I press it, it'll do the second one. So that is another way to do it if it's just purely command line based stuff. If you want to, and that's something that I figured out the other day. I hope that made sense, my rambling there. So the important thing to remember is just each line must be set to go under the wait column, because then it'll wait for you to do it. And then obviously if I went into this, assign setup, and I clicked on that, and I did all of that, and I did that, and I went to images, and I found the image that it is, which is the hard effect one, which is like at the bottom, and I grabbed the last one, then simple, then theoretically when I click on it, it should, yeah, so there you go, and then it'll change, and that's all via macro that isn't using dummy execs or anything. So yeah, that's another way to do it if you want to, but the better way is generally, if you're triggering stuff you've stored, like as a sequence, then you want to go via the route of using just an executor, because it just speeds it up, because you don't have to then in your macro be calling the sequences or be calling it the executor you saved it to. But if it's just command line based, you can do it that way as well. So I hope that just helps with whoever wants it, because it can, obviously the whole color picker is based on that, and that's just a lot of macro writing. Yeah, so I wonder if there's any other questions.
Not yet right now. But yeah, perfectly explained. Basically the same as Christian's video, but yeah, if the people are asking, we're gonna answer it.
I figured out how to use macros to do it all.
Yeah.
Trying to think if there's anything else we can discuss on this. As always, if you got a question, please do put it in the comments, and we will help you with it. I think there's anything cool to use though. No. Okay. Discussion time.
Question from me: What's the current size of your show file?
Of my show
in megabytes.
Sorry for coughing there. The show file on its own is I think 10, but it's
okay.
Actually, hold on, it's like KB to MB because it isn't an exact thing. So 10,227. It's just over 10 megabytes. I just want to confirm my math there, but with a reasonably large patch, it's generally like I've got the patch from Ultra South Africa 2018. If you want to see that stage quickly, Ultra South Africa 2018. Please don't be copyrighted. The images, they can't copyright images, can they? Are there even any images of it? Okay, he has a
I don't
picture
think so.
of that stage, and that's with that patch, which was which was just under 100 moving lights, a whole lot of strobes, and some blinders and LED strips and crap. It brought my show file up to that much.
36 MBs. Yeah.
If you go to something, if you go to stuff that has a lot of, like this one, he has another one. It's a smaller patch, took it up to 13 megabytes, and yeah, so it's like really random, but on its own, it's just over 10. The one dad was like 20 because I'd put in 1,000 dummy fixtures for something I was working on, but I figured out a way around that, so I don't actually have to use them. So it's only 10 now, which I mean isn't too big yet. Please will show me follow tutorial.
What? I think that the stream had some hiccups because I saw dropping frames in my
From
OBS,
my
about
side?
600.
Okay, yeah. Okay,
No,
doesn't
no,
drop
no,
anything
no,
on my
no.
side.
On my side, on my side.
Technical
But
issues
so
again.
there was some dropped out frames. I don't know
Oh,
why.
okay.
Could be my network connection dropping out for a bit. Could be my PC. No, can't be my PC. I don't know what it
Okay,
is.
yeah. It's saying it is
Network
it is having
connection,
issues. Yeah,
obviously. Yeah.
are we still live? Yeah, we're still live, right?
Yeah, we are live. It's only
Okay.
drop frames. I saw
Deep.
a red
Yeah.
flashing thing in OBS and I thought, can't be good. Yeah.
Please. Yeah, so DPS, you have to give us a bit more info than that, and I mean, if you can, we will then help you with whatever you need. If it's asking for my show file, then it's a show file, then it's a no, as always, unfortunately. I think we've ranted about this before, but might as well do it again because he kind of brought it up. Is that don't ask people for their show files; it's not worth it. I mean, if you're at a production and somebody leaves their show file on the desk, then if you really want to take it and look at it, don't share it with other people. Take it and look at it and learn from it, but don't steal from it because that's plagiarism, which, as my English teacher always says, is a crime punishable by death. Not really. I mean,
Okay.
if the thing is though that you do have to remember is if you do actually have someone else's show file and you use stuff from it, and they figure out that you used it, they can actually sue you for that because it's technically copyright, well, not copyright infringement, but it's theft. So it's just be careful with what you do with other people's show files because especially if it's like a touring OD and he's carrying a file for a DJ that could have bitmap stuff in it, if he finds out that you've got it and you're using it or using stuff from it, he can sue you because it's intellectual property. So that is just
Yeah.
something to be
Do you
aware,
guys have a good
aware of it.
place to get a quick reference guide that I can keep next to the console as I learn it during a super simple live show?
The manual is inside the console. If you press help, please, I think. How do you get the manual again?
Help? No, only help and then please.
Just help. Yeah, if you just say help, please,
then you get
it
this
brings up the
manual
manual.
thingy there, and you can search through all the
and you can go
things
through
that
it.
the console can do. That's the one
Otherwise,
way. If you just search for features, if you search for command help, that would be 2 times help and please, and you'll get a description of all the commands.
Oh, what?
Not really a description, only a list of all
But
the commands on the console.
but and the what's it called, the acronyms, or not acronyms, but shorter things to use for it if you want.
The shortcuts, I don't know. Short versions of the commands.
Yeah, if you're talking about just you're worried you might forget something that you need to remember, then I'd recommend you just write it down, honestly, on a piece of paper, on a notepad or something, and put it in that weird little L shape that the buttons form. Interesting fact that Christian pointed out once is if you have an iPad mini, it fits in there perfectly. Just with doing it. Depeche active. Sorry, I missed your following link. Okay, the stream will be up afterwards. I don't know which link you're talking about. So afterwards, all the comments will be available, so you can just go and take a look through it and figure out which one you need it. Otherwise, put it in the chat, and if you can remember what which one it was about, then we can relink you to it. Yeah. So that was an interesting bit of discussion there about intellectual property. Yeah.
There's another German question. Ich habe noch ein Problem, weiß aber nicht genau, wie ich es gut beschreiben kann. Ich habe versucht mit Ethans Video den Color Picker. Was hast du denn konkret für ein Problem mit Ethans Color Picker? Wir können dir natürlich weiterhelfen, nur dann müssen wir wissen, was genau nicht funktioniert. Achso, nachzubauen und beim Einfügen der Images kommt immer nur ein User-Image und wenn ich dieses löschen will, kommt einfach 2 weitere User-Images dazu. Okay. Wie muss ich mir das vorstellen? Du hast die Images von Ethan in den Image-Pool geladen und hast dann eins löschen wollen? Oder wie? Nein. Versuch das mal entweder irgendwie besser zu erklären. Oder keine Ahnung, ich weiß nicht. Es ist schwierig jetzt für einen Livestream. notfalls machen wir Screenshots davon und machen Post im Forum mit den Bildern drin und also mit den Screenshots drin und einer kurzen Erklärung, was da passiert ist und wie du es erzeugt hast, den Fehler, und wo genau du da jetzt gescheitert bist. Und dann können wir im Forum mit Hilfe von den Screenshots bestimmt dir weiterhelfen, weil hier ist es jetzt halt schwierig, weil ich mir einfach gerade auch einfach nicht vorstellen kann, was bei dir jetzt gerade passiert ist. Genau. So I just told him that I can't really answer his questions because I can't understand what went wrong on his side. And I said that he should just add a thread in the forum, uploading screenshots and telling us what really went wrong.
Okay.
So then we can really help him.
The
way
color
better.
picker. The color picker. Of course, there's an issue with the color picker. Everyone has issues with the color picker.
It's some issue with adding images and then like I don't know. I don't really know what happened there.
Yeah. Okay. Wait, I might have an email from him. Okay. Anyways, on to something else. Does anyone else have any questions to ask? Is there any questions? Wait 30 seconds for the stream to catch up.
What?
Marco just like I said, there's an issue. There's always problems with the color picker. My buddy in Discord just told me you are the problem.
Yeah. Okay. Very
Okay,
great,
damn,
great buddy.
I feel the love there, honestly. So yes, put in the forum and the people that know German and are able to answer you more effectively will assist you with that.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, what next? Shall we make another discussion about intellectual property? That's probably a bad idea.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think if there's anything interesting to discuss. There isn't really, though, is there? Goes through Sherfalf, tries to find something interesting. In German question, would you like to answer that, please?
Oh yes. Is it possible in GrandMA on PC to add a second network card for ArtNet? Whoa. Good question. Ich weiß es nicht sicher. Das ist jetzt die ehrliche Antwort. Meine Vermutung ist, dass wenn du eine Netzwerkkarte hast, die in dem 10. oder 2.00 irgendwas Netzwerk IP-Adressen hat, dass Grandma dann diese IP-Adressen automatisch für ArtNet nutzt. Weil standardmäßig halt diese 10. irgendwas, 10.0.0. irgendwas Adressen ArtNet-Adressen sind. Die stellst du ja so oder so statisch ein. Und vermutlich ist es bei OnPC egal, auf welchem Netzwerkadapter diese IP-Adresse dann eingestellt ist. Und es müsste funktionieren. Das ist jetzt nur eine Vermutung. Ich habe es noch nicht getestet. Aber ja, ich würde es einfach ausprobieren. Die Vermutung besteht, dass es funktionieren könnte. Weil im Prinzip Grandma eigentlich 2 unterschiedliche Netzwerkkarten handeln können müsste. Genau. Kann dir nicht sagen, ob es geht. Probier es aus. Genau. Gehst dann her. Also ich kann dir noch zeigen, grundsätzlich Netzwerkeinstellungen, aber das ist vermutlich eh klar. Hier halt Netzwerk und was weiß ich. Windows hier unten halt, ne? Netzwerk- und Interneteinstellungen öffnen, dann gehst du in den Netzwerk- und Freigabecenter, dann gehst du in die Adaptereinstellungen, suchst deinen entsprechenden Netzwerkadapter raus, bei dem du das ändern möchtest, rechte Maustaste Eigenschaften, haust dein Passwort rein, Internetprotokoll Version 4 logischerweise und dann haust du hier per Hand bei deiner ArtNet-Karte dann eben die 10.0.0. irgendwas mit der entsprechenden Subnetzmaske und dem entsprechenden Gateway 10. 0.0.1 rein und dem entsprechend selben 10.0.0.1 Gateway, DNS-Server. Drückst dann OK, das mache ich jetzt nicht, weil sonst ist nämlich der Livestream offline. Aber genau, dann hast du deine Netzwerkkarte für Artnet konfiguriert. Ja, genau, so müsste es eigentlich funktionieren. Genau. Probier's aus. Good. Next question in English. Do you guys have similar or different styles of busking? I'm doing more theater and show stuff than Ethan does. Ethan does more of the EDM and really the busking stuff. So
Yeah.
Most of the times I find myself only busking a little throughout the show, and I think Ethan's shows consist mainly of busking because he has to do
Because I
quite
enjoyed
literally
it. I
everything
did a
live.
theatre show a couple weeks ago or a month ago, and I freaking hated it. The most boring. I don't know, like, hate theatre. I'm sorry, like, and I know theatre lighting is honestly amazing, and like I've seen a couple shows where the lighting was phenomenal, but to me, it's just sitting and all you do is press a go button essentially. So I don't enjoy that. So my busking style is definitely a lot of very little pre-programmed, and everything else is just the pressing the screen to make the colors change and all that lovely crap. So my busking style would be I'll quickly go over that in a second here. Sorry about this. I've just got to send this quickly, and I'll go over my thing quickly. Or do you want to go? Do you want to answer that question first, and then I'll go over
answer
what I
to
want to talk about?
that's a following answer onto that what I just said. Okay, hab verstanden, was du meinst. Du meinst, dass du hier Ethercon 1 und 2 einstellen kannst in der Konsole und der dann so im Prinzip einen Port für Artnet konfigurieren kannst mit der IP2-Geschichte und mit der IP1-Geschichte einen für dein MA-Net. Ja, wie gesagt, klar, das gibt es hier beim OnPC nicht, so zumindest nicht einzustellen, aber unabhängig davon, was du hier für eine IP gewählt hast, nimmt halt MA OnPC immer eine IP für Artnet, die irgendwo in diesem 10.0.0. irgendwas Netz liegt. Das heißt, wenn du wie eben beschrieben eine Netzwerkkarte in diesem Netz hast, dann müsste eigentlich MA diese Netzwerkkarte auch für Artnet nutzen. Probier es aus. Ich kann es dir leider nicht garantieren, dass es geht. Aber probier es aus. Do you have a video showing your setup for busking?
Well, not on
Ethan.
a console. No. And not. I had a live stream well over a year ago that I did, but I can actually just go through it quickly if you want. Lucas, you cool with that?
Yeah, no problem.
Also really, really quick. It's very similar to Christian Jackson's. I'm sorry, Christian. Please don't sue me for intellectual property. Excuse my coughing. But okay, cool. So I'll go through it. So firstly, on screen 1, which is the top right screen on the console, I've got my color view. So the first thing I've got is the actual color picker that just changes the color of the rig or whichever group I choose. Then related to that would be these, which change the delay time of that and the direction. Then underneath, I've got another set of 2 that assign my low effects and high effects values. And those are used in multiple places throughout my show file. Firstly, just for the effects. Then those are also referenced by the color combo toggles. And when I change it, it copies executors to here, to these 2 exec buttons. So I change this to green and blue. And I do those and they reference the delay time, which are really cool to use because you can bump in colors as you want with the delay time. Sorry for my a lot. Then on the right of the screen, I've got these toggles, which relate to my color effects fader. So whichever one is active is what we'll be doing. The sound and PWM is to change the waveform. Then I can change the groups of the color effects, blocks, the direction. Then this one over here is to change my atomic strobe buttons on the X keys between temp and swap. I can also do that over here somewhere. No, I can't anymore. Never mind. So I can change that between temp and swap if I want to. Then there's the kill Q list because I have got Q list things worked into my show file. But if I want to switch back to busking, I can hit that and it deletes everything. I mean, not deletes, but switches off everything. Then I've got toggles to switch on the color combos. So it will take the group and it will reference those 2 to make a two-way color thing. The off time, I'm sorry, I'm going through this really quickly, but off time changes the off time of my dimmer bumps, of my beams, and of my rig between 0.4 and 0. Then this is what we went over earlier with the hard effects. Then down here, I've got toggles to change the fade time of color fading fixtures. So generally everything excluding the beams. Hope that made sense. Now I'm going to jump to the faders. So on the faders, the first 6 are all dimmer stuff. So it's beams, and then I've got just on the top it's intensity. And then I go through a whole lot of different effects that I can program, and it's like that for all the main fixture groups. Then there's the color effect fader. Then there's prism speed. That'll change the rotation of prisms and gobos that I have in fixtures. Then there's beam flyout, which just allows me to change the actual tilt value of the beams and spot group to get a look that I need. The size faders, and then the speed fader for dimmer effects and for movement effects. Then on the buttons, I've just got strobe across the whole rig, beam, strobe, spot, strobe, random across the rig, beam, random. These I need to delete, rig on, off, and then just color bumps. So that is that one. Now on screen 3, I've got my main playback thing. So firstly, I've got my positions for each fixture. So I've generally just got the straight out, fan out, and fan in, and that's just got different levels. Then I've got my other position, which just is any other positions I program. And then obviously what you'll see about those is it's duplicated. So the second row here relates to my delay fades that I have for position, which is controlled by this executor, and that's across all the groups. I'm really sorry for going so fast. Then I've got all of my movement stuff, and then over here I've got all the movement modifiers, so I can change the groups, the directions, the blocks. Then there's this one, which allows me to create custom effects on the fly that I went over in a previous live stream. Then I've got my prism toggles and my gobo toggles. And then those obviously just toggle them on, and I change speed via this fader. And that's generally replicated throughout. And then I've got stomp stuff, and then on the last screen I've just got gobo toggles. And that is it. It's kind of complicated, it's kind of not. But yeah, maybe one day I'll do a live stream on my personal channel going very in depth into this, because the last one that's on there is from well over a year ago, and it's a very outdated version of the show file. So yeah, so I think that just covers it very, very. And then on the X keys, I've just got the 3K stuff, blinders, blinder hits, beam flashes on and off, the hard effects thing. It takes everything to white, random strobe, everything to white, full strobe. What I talked about earlier with the thing. This is just a swap that switches the atomics to just on with no strobe and the blinders on, so it lights up the crowd. And then rate to learn, which changes the rate of this color chase, which is just taking these colors and working essentially as a chase to go across the rig. So yeah, so I hope that answers. That's like a basic overview of how my busking works.
Wonderful. Thank you, Maroplay, for registering on the forum. I'm really happy to then hopefully answer your question on there. And yeah, another great chance to tell you about the forum, guys. So we really, really hope to get more people registered on there and help each other and ask questions and answer questions and just have a great community on there. That would be really awesome. And I hope that you guys really see that as a great chance as well.
Okay, cool. Thank you, Kangaroo Productions, for throwing in the link over there. Dapish, you can just grab the link down there and you can follow the instructions on the website to do it. Christian Lucas,
he's currently working on a show in Tunisia, and he tries to output ArtNet over one network card and the MANet over another, and can't make it work on the on-PC. And I told him that changing the network settings for the one card that he wants to use for ArtNet to the 10.0.0. something subnet could work, but it actually hasn't worked for him. Hast du Grandma neu gestartet, nachdem du die Netzwerkeinstellung geändert hast? Weil die Erfahrung habe ich gemacht, dass er nur beim Neustart sozusagen erkennt, welche Karte jetzt die IP-Range 10.0.0. irgendwas hat. Also, falls du noch nicht Grandma neu gestartet haben solltest, dann könnte das noch ein Grund sein, weswegen es nicht geht. Ansonsten, ja, habe ich vielleicht doch nicht recht und es geht nicht. Oder es geht anders, aber ich weiß nicht wie. Genau. Frage von Madoplay. Wie kann ich denn ein Video im Forum posten? Ein Video im Forum posten? Im Forum kannst du, glaube ich, keine Videos posten, wenn ich das richtig verstanden habe. Was du allerdings natürlich machen kannst, ist ein Video auf YouTube hochladen als nicht gelistetes Video, also ein Video, was du nur privat sehen kannst, sozusagen. Also nicht auf privat stellen, sondern auf nicht gelistet. Das bedeutet, es gibt einen Link zu dem Video und du kannst das Video im Forum in einem Post zum Beispiel einbetten. Aber du bist nicht in der Lage, also keiner ist in der Lage, dieses Video so zu finden, wenn er auf YouTube sucht. Dann kannst du dieses Video in deinem Post einfügen und wir sind in der Lage, uns das anzugucken. Das wäre ein Weg, wie du ein Video in einen Forum-Post reinkriegst. Den ganzen PC neu starten, sicher. Ja, es ist Windows, ja, du hast schon recht, aber sollte auch ohne Neustarten vom PC theoretisch gehen. Wenn es nicht geht, tut's mir leid. Dann weiß ich es nicht. Vielleicht gibt es irgendein Virtual Network Device oder so, die in der Lage ist, mehrere Netzwerkkarten zusammenzufassen, sodass du dann, sag ich mal, also nur eine virtuelle Netzwerkkarte hast oder so irgendwas. Ich weiß es nicht. Vielleicht findest du sowas in der Art, wenn du googelst. Ich habe mich damit noch nicht auseinandergesetzt. Ich wünsche dir viel Erfolg. Ich kann dir nicht weiterhelfen. Okay. Ja. Also, genau, auf dem Forum Video posten über YouTube als nicht gelisteten Link. Bilder kannst du so reinpacken in die Posts. Genau, das wäre die Vorgehensweise. Another German question. How you have bring color? What? How you have
That's English. It's English. It's just bad English. Sorry.
Yeah, color from fader in green and blue. One color fade. What?
Okay. I will. Do you want me to answer this quickly?
Yeah.
So I think I understand what he's saying. So when I'm working Depeche, what I'm working you saying is that you want to have one fader where you're able to fade in blue and then slowly fade in green, and then obviously mix them to create whatever colors you want. So let me bring up everything quickly. And this is, I'm working now in the Ultra South Africa show file actually. So let me just make this full screen. And let me grab my LEDs since they're color mixing. So the LEDs, I'm going to first go to color and set it to green. And I'm going to store that to fader. I'm then going to, this is a way that I think will work and accomplish what you want to do. I'm then going to go to blue and set that to another fader. And I'm going to say create, and set it to the same fader. So I'm going to say create second queue. Then go into assign. And I'm just going to change this to crossfade. Because now as I bring it up, it'll fade in green. And then I can fade in blue, so I can actually, and if I don't want to go all the way back, I can go back to the green, and I can fade in blue slowly as needed to accomplish whatever I want. And then obviously it'll go to full blue and back to green, and so on and so forth. And then obviously if you wanted to, you could create macros to, in the blind edit, store the different colors to those cues. So I hope that accomplishes what you're trying to say. The only downside is if you want to switch it off, you'll actually have to press the off button instead of just bringing the fader down, because obviously as you bring the fader up and down, it will be just going between the two cues. Hope that answers what you were trying to say. There's a German question for you, Lucas.
Seine Lösung ist jetzt im Prinzip, dass er schon eine Netzwerkbrücke sich gebastelt hat. Jetzt kommt halt Artnet. Jetzt bekommt halt die Artnet-Strecke im A-Net, aber scheint es jetzt gehen. Okay, also du gehst jetzt einfach über eine Netzwerkkarte mit beiden Protokollen und es funktioniert einwandfrei. Ja, sollte es auch. Also Artnet und MA-Net sollte sich eigentlich nicht in die Quere kriegen. Ansonsten, das ist ja im Prinzip jetzt so eine der Gründe, sage ich mal, weswegen auch MA jetzt noch einen Network-Switch auf den Markt gebracht hat, um eben Protokolle zu trennen. Also, dass du sagen kannst, hier auf dem Port gibt es nur Artnet, auf dem Port gibt es nur MA-Net, damit du eben dann alle Artnet-Nodes an den Port hängen kannst, der gefiltert ist, sodass auch nur Artnet draufkommt und kein MA-Net, damit einfach mehr Ausfallsicherheit irgendwo auch garantiert ist. Aber ja, gut, wenn es so wenigstens für dich funktioniert und es keine Probleme macht, dann hast du ja jetzt erstmal keinen Stress. Gut. So he tested the problem with the using 2 network cards at the same time with on PC by just using one network card and pushing ArtNet and MANet over the one network interface at the same time, which currently works for him without any problems. And yeah, so he's fine for the moment, and that's it.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it probably would work. I would not run that on a show though. That's because that is a bit. Because generally you want to have. That's why the MA has 2 ports. One's for ArtNet, one's for thing. But I don't know why it wouldn't allow you to use 2. No,
Nee,
wait.
über beide.
Okay, sorry, because it wasn't in German. Just explain the question he was asking quickly, if you don't mind.
Wait, he wrote that I'm wrong. I have a wrong understanding of what he did. Nee, über beide mit
Because
beiden
you should be
Protokollen
able to
verhalten
use
sich bei der
2
Windows-Brücke wie
things.
eine. Achso, du hast also wirklich eine Software, eine Softwarelösung, die beide Karten kombiniert zu einem Virtual Network Interface in Windows, oder? Also das, was ich vorhin gesagt habe. Also du machst es wirklich über beide Karten, aber irgendwie innerhalb von Windows so gemerged halt. Okay. Also gibt es so eine Lösung, wie die, von der ich vorhin sprach. Obwohl ich nicht mal davon wusste, dass es eine gibt. Okay. Okay, so I got him a little wrong. He's still using 2 network interfaces and both are utilized. But there's a virtual interface in Windows which combines both of them. So both of them are accessed with both protocols.
Okay.
So he wasn't able to have one protocol on one of the cards and another on the other card. He now has both protocols on both cards. That's what he tells us there.
Yeah,
but if it works,
it works.
Okay.
Just hope.
So there's a feature in Windows that actually allows to bridge between network interfaces. He says so. I haven't heard of that before, but if that's possible, great. How do I do that? How do I configure something like that? Haven't even heard of that. But yeah, cool. Nennt sich Netzwerkbrücke. Okay, ja. Keine Ahnung, habe ich noch nie von gehört, dass es geht. Sowas einzurichten in Windows, aber wenn es geht, cool. Wo konfiguriert man das? Konfiguriert man das im Status von dem Adapter oder irgendwo? Wo konfiguriert man das? Das würde mich echt mal interessieren. Weil die Situation, dass man sowas mal braucht, kann ja durchaus kommen. Ja, würde mich freuen, wenn du mir das erzählen könntest. Drehen wir den Spieß mal rum. Ich stelle die Fragen und du beantwortest sie. Ja, gut. Aber cool. Okay, so yeah, there's actually some tool in Windows that allows to bridge between network interfaces. I haven't heard of that before. So,
but that is very interesting.
Yeah, and I thought it could be helpful sometime because, like maybe in a situation where you need to have redundancy or something with a on PC with 2 network cards, this could be a great solution. Windows system preferences, network interfaces. Okay. Let me check. Systemeinstellungen. Netzwerkadapter. Netzwerkadapter.
That could actually be very useful, I guess, as you said, with backup.
Yeah. But I can't find the setting. Where is it? I haven't had my screen streamed to YouTube, so people can't even see what I'm doing wrong.
See, that's why we need to get Stream Decks. If anyone wants to,
if anyone wants to sponsor Stream Deck, I would be so freaking happy because I have to manage all those inputs and changing scenes and everything, and I really get confused.
If you just want to, just send us an email or a message, just offer it. We'll send you some details.
Yeah, I already thought about buying one because it sounds like it's. Oh, I found the option. I'm just blind. So in the network and sharing center, all that is called in English. Like when you press the little network icon in the bottom right corner, right click on it, network and sharing center, or how that is called, and then you go into the network and sharing center in there, and then you go to the adapter configuration, and then you can select your two interfaces saying Verbindung überbrücken in German, so it's like connect or something in English, I don't know. And then you put in your password and it should act as if it was one Ethernet adapter. But I won't do it now because it could potentially crash the stream. Yeah. Cool. Thank you. Found it. Could come in handy sometime. Okay. So are there any more questions about MA Network, about Grandma, about GrandMA 3, about the world of lighting, or our show files, or whatever the heck it may be? Now is the time we can still answer them and make you potentially happy. So feel free to ask them. And of course, sign up for the forum. Just do it. I'm happy to see every single person that registers there, and maybe, I don't know, maybe sometime in the future we can make like a meetup or something on Pro Light and Sound or some other fair that we are visiting or something. That would be really cool. Meeting Ethan would be one of the coolest things ever, but I don't know how long that takes till it happens. I have to come to South Africa, you know?
Yeah, you do. You do need to. Shit, I didn't realize I was muted that whole time.
Oh, lol.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe Product 2020. When I'm finished with school, we can arrange an MA Network meetup there. Or if everyone wants to fly out to South Africa,
would
come
be
on
freaking
vacation.
Cool. I seriously, I would ask if we could make like free and MA2 and meet up with consoles. That would be
and maybe
dope.
the .2 even,
Yeah, and maybe even that. Currently, maybe. I'm thinking about doing some training stuff in the university, because they have a .2, and there are some people in among my my friends that are studying the same thing. They really want to get into .2 and MA2, and asked me, hey, could you help me? So there's currently the idea arising, doing some training in the rooms that they have there, like doing a .2 training, doing a MA2 training. Oh.
Okay. Yeah, or if MA wants to fly me out to Germany,
sometimes.
But I don't. It's a bit expensive to fly to Germany, honestly. German question. Would you like to
same for South Africa. Okay.
Ja,
ich habe den Link jetzt mal über das Forum an euch beide geschickt. Ich hoffe, das hat geklappt. Okay. He sent us his problems through a link over the forum, he said. So let's have a look. General questions and answers. VPU mapping? No. Where is your question? Here. No, not here. Am I blind? I can't find it on the forum. Or am I doing something wrong? Oh, you sent us a private message, am I right? Ah, okay. Yeah. What is that? He sent us a private message over the forum, but it links to a Daily Motion page, which like says page not found. Okay, I don't know what's up with that, but oh, okay. So you added the YouTube link into a video container called Daily Motion. Okay, so that's the problem. Maybe you should call it YouTube, I think. But that's okay. I may be able to open that link anyways. Okay, it works. Perfect. Oh, lol. Ethan?
Yeah?
Are you actually
Yeah.
have you found the link?
No,
Okay.
because I kind of had to run away quickly.
Yeah, that's crazy. What happens there?
What? Can you just post the link in the chat, please?
I can.
Sorry, I had to
No
run
problem.
away to the bathroom real
So
quick.
here is
And
the
I'll hop into
problem.
it.
Whoops. I hate autoplay.
Alright, let's bring this up on my laptop over here. Oh, okay.
Oh lol. I just posted a link to a playlist. I'm such a faggot.
Okay, YouTube images.
But yeah.
Oh wow, that is. Oh what? Holy
Yeah.
fuck!
That's stupid stuff
Delete?
happening there. He deletes
What?
something and then he has like 12
fuck.
new user-defined images.
Hold on, what's the number for the MA help desk? I'm gonna actually
Can
please
you send
leave
us
this
this
up.
show file? Can
Yeah,
you
send us
send
the
me
show
that show
file,
file?
please, because
I
I
really
wanna
want
see
to
that.
see that in front of me.
I'm also gonna.
Can you just put it into you can open a new thread on the forum, posting the link again, please this
Yeah.
time without the Daily Motion stuff. And
then I'm gonna send, as soon as that's up, I'll send it straight through to the distributors here. And
yeah, you could
we'll send it
just
to MA.
you could just add the show file beneath, and then we could contact the distributor, or alternatively you could also contact the distributor directly. That's no problem.
Yeah, that's probably the quickest thing.
Yeah, the quicker thing is just writing to the
weird.
support, sending them the show file, explaining what happened, sending them the video would be a better solution.
Yeah.
That really looks like a software issue that you ran into.
What version are you on?
And that's something that
That's the other
the MA support has to try to fix. So what you are experiencing there should never happen, ever. And I haven't even seen that ever, so
that is
you're
crazy.
one of the lucky ones.
Lucky in inverted commas. If that isn't like a show file that has everything else built into it, just start fresh, because that is super weird. I don't know what would
super
cause that.
spooky.
Spooky, scary skeletons and shivers down your spine. And can't play that song because of copyright claims. Yeet. But yeah, that is super strange. That what would cause that? Yeah. So please just leave the video up. I'm gonna right now send that through to my buddy who works at the distributors here, and see if he knows anything that might be causing that, because I've never seen something like that before. Because that is seriously messed up. I'm sure. Yeah, I know who I can send it through to. The Grand MA2 user group. Let me send it through to that. Has anyone? Hold on. Sorry for being quiet. I just want to send it through quickly. Yanni. Here we go. Control V. Alright, there we go. Sent through to the distributor to figure out what is up with that, because that is super weird, and I would recommend immediately, if you can, send an email to MA.
I once had a problem when building a color picker, which was also a software bug, where all of a sudden all images were the same ones. Like all the images in the pool. And you could scroll up, you could scroll down. Even the empty slots, even the slots that would have been empty all the time and were empty all the time, suddenly had that one image in there. And it just happened. Like, all of a sudden. No reason whatsoever. It just happened. Yeah, that was the first and only real, like, bug, stupid and strange bug that I experienced in MA. All the other stuff was mostly my own fault or just some minor bugs that were fixed by just restarting or doing a new show file or yeah. But I really had this problem with the color picker once. But that's years ago. I think they patched that out long time ago. But that was my first try of doing a color picker, and I literally got it to work, but then adding 2 more groups to the color picker made it crash. I don't know why. And my idea was that it's a performance issue. And I also contacted the distributor, and they didn't know what to do either. So it was a software bug, and they had to fix it. And yours looks like a software bug as well. Definitely. Okay. So if that's that, then yeah. Another 5 to 10 minutes for the last questions, and I would say then we are ending the stream. What about you, Ethan?
Yeah, I agree. Oh, I was muted again.
Yes,
I was just saying
you were muted. Was muted.
if
Why are you muting yourself?
I'm sorry. If that guy is still with us, software, I'm concerned about that. If you want to do privately, message us in the forum, and I want to ensure that that gets resolved because that is super, super weird. I don't know what would cause that because I really hold on. I want to see what happens if I do it. I want to see if I can replicate it by any chance. Maybe okay. I've saved the show file, so if I break it, I break it. So just store that user image. Go delete.
Can't see your screen, by the way.
Oh yeah.
If you.
So
want.
I was just working on it.
Okay.
He had page selected, so let me have page selected and then delete. No, just delete. So I've got no freaking idea what would cause that. It's just so weird. But yeah, I've messaged that through to some guys. That I know. But that is like seriously such a strange thing. I really don't understand it because the only thing I'm thinking of is it could be like a massive issue with. It could be a massive issue for MA in general because that is really strange.
Yeah. It is indeed.
Okay. Wow. Okay. Well, we've sent that through to. I'm sure Lucas will send that through to a couple of his MA friends. I've sent it through distributors here, and we'll have to see what comes out of that. So yeah. I guess there's no more questions. I guess we can call the live stream a success. We can.
Of course, I think we can.
Come to an end.
Looks like this is the end. So, yeah, thank you for tuning in and asking questions. We are really happy to see you guys. Yeah, again and again. Yeah. Yeah.
Hopefully,
what you want to say?
No. Sorry. Hopefully, without any issues next time. We apologize for all the technical issues we experienced during this.
Yeah, this stuff always gets so complicated that just errors happen.
But as always, the live stream will be up afterwards. It should go up immediately. I think in a couple of hours it should be finished. And yeah, as always, put into the comments afterwards, and we'll get back to you. Forum, please go and sign up on the forum. We really want to get that a bit more active than it is. And yeah, other than that, thank you very much for watching.
And another thing that I just wanted to say is thank you to your friend Ethan, who just really moderates this thing here
I think a big
so
round of
perfectly.
For,
I mean,
Productions.
he wrote down the questions and he like protocols this thing and helps us to really
we might offer him an official
concentrate
title
on the
eventually.
actual stream. He's doing great work.
Yeah, well done, Kangaroo Productions. Yeah, round of applause. Woo!
Yeah. Okay, so thanks to everybody, and have a great time, and see you in the next stream. Bye.